Klink, yeah, things look very good here. Yeah, very good indeed.
Thank you, General.
Oh, I have not had nylons in months.
I understand there's a war on.
Premiering in 1965, Hogan's Heroes captivated audiences with the story of Colonel Hogan and his clever team of prisoners, who not only survived wartime captivity, but also sabotaged Nazi plans in cunning ways, turning the bumbling officers into objects of ridicule. However, the show was more than just a comedic sitcom. It hid astonishing truths for fans. Werner Klemperer, the clumsy Colonel Klink, was actually a talented violinist. Robert Clary was a Holocaust survivor, and General Burkhalter's convertible Mercedes was one of only 57 vehicles still in existence from the war era. Are you curious why the show was banned in Germany for 25 years, or why the theme song's lyrics never aired on television? Let's explore 20 weird facts about Hogan's Heroes that you've almost certainly never known. 20. Larry Hovis always wore gloves because of his wedding ring. Throughout 6 years on Hogan's Heroes, Larry Hovis, who played Sergeant Carter, steadfastly refused to remove his wedding ring, regardless of the demands of the role. For Hovis, the ring was an eternal vow to his wife, and no professional pressure could make him give it up, even though Carter's character was written as a single soldier, with no wife or children back home. This stubbornness forced the crew to get creative. In most scenes, Carter wore gloves, even when the situation made no sense, indoors or while other characters had bare hands. When gloves were impossible, Hovis cleverly hid his left hand, tucked into a pocket, behind his back, or turned away from the camera. Directors, cameramen, and producers had to carefully monitor every gesture to ensure the forbidden ring didn't accidentally break the illusion that Carter was an unmarried prisoner. Yet, sharp-eyed viewers occasionally caught flashes of the wedding ring in a few episodes when the concealment was imperfect or Hovis forgot to hide it. These rare appearances quickly became a treasure hunt for devoted fans, who rewound episodes just to spot traces of the real-life love that Hovis insisted on preserving. Do you find this character intriguing? Share your thoughts in the comments. 19. Robert Clary survived the Holocaust. Robert Clary, born Robert Max Wideman in 1926 in Paris, was the youngest of 14 children in a Jewish family. His childhood was stolen by the shadow of history. At just 16, Clary was deported from France to the Otmouth labor camp and then sent to the hell of Buchenwald. In a place where death lurked daily, Clary clung to life through his singing and dancing, performing for fellow prisoners and occasionally for guards, as a fragile hope to earn survival. The tattoo A571 on his arm remains a permanent scar, sometimes visible in Hogan's Heroes episodes. The painful truth only emerged after the war. Of his 14 immediate family members, Clary was one of the few survivors. His parents and 12 siblings perished in the death camps, including Auschwitz. He emerged from darkness carrying those horrific memories and turned his artistic career into a testament to human resilience. Ironically, Clary chose to portray a prisoner of war in a comedy series, bringing laughter and relief to the very setting that once haunted his life. His memoir, From the Holocaust to Hogan's Heroes, stands as his legacy, tracing the path from unimaginable horror to enduring hope. 18. The show was banned for 25 years in Germany. While Hogan's Heroes captivated American audiences in the 1960s and 70s, in Germany it was kept off the air for more than 25 years. The reason? The setting of Stalag 13, combined with bumbling and comical German officers, recalled sensitive memories of Nazism, a wound still raw in post-war German society. Censors feared audiences might see turning Nazis into a joke as an insult to historical suffering, so the show was completely banned. However, when the Berlin Wall fell and Germany entered a new era in the early 1990s, Hogan's Heroes was finally brought to German audiences. And the unexpected happened. Instead of anger, it was warmly received. Contrary to initial fears, viewers enjoyed seeing Nazis portrayed as harmless, incompetent clowns, easily outwitted by Allied prisoners. For Germans, this was a way to demythologize the image of the Nazis, turning a symbol of fear into comedy on television. The show quickly became a cult hit in Germany. Generations of viewers watched Hogan's Heroes not only as entertainment, but also as a reminder that humor can triumph over the darkest shadows of history. 17. The set was destroyed for a horror movie. When Hogan's Heroes ended in 1971, the wooden barracks, camp gates, and watchtowers of Stalag 13 still stood on the legendary 40 acres backlot in Culver City, a home to classics from Gone with the Wind to Star Trek. But the famous POW camp's fate took a bizarre, dramatic turn. Just a few years later, Stalag 13 was no longer the comedic stage for Colonel Hogan and his crew. It became the setting for a shocking horror movie, Ilsa, She-Wolf of the SS, 1975. In the script, Ilsa's ending required the entire Nazi camp to be engulfed in flames. Instead of building a fake set, the filmmakers borrowed the Stalag 13 set. In 1974, when cameras rolled, the familiar barracks where Schultz once said, "I know nothing," were set ablaze for real. The fire consumed the entire camp, a cinematic spectacle, but also a permanent closure to a piece of television history. 16. Bob Crane married his co-star on set. A little-known fact, Bob Crane fell for Sigrid Valdis, the beautiful actress who played Colonel Klink's secretary, Hilda. Initially a minor character, Valdis's charm and intelligence quickly caught attention, not only from audiences but also from the show's leading star. Their romance blossomed amid the staged German POW camp, where they were both colleagues and confidants. The relationship culminated in a one-of-a-kind TV wedding. On October 16, 1970, Crane and Valdis exchanged vows right on the Hogan's Heroes set, witnessed by the crew and cast, who had become like a second family. It was not only a media event, but proof that love can flourish even in unexpected settings. After the wedding, Valdis stepped away from the spotlight to focus on family, and they welcomed son Scotty Crane in 1971. Yet, this fairy tale marriage wasn't immune to troubles. By the late 1970s, Crane and Valdis separated, reportedly on the brink of divorce when tragedy struck. In June 1978, Bob Crane was brutally murdered in Scottsdale, Arizona, in a mysterious case that remains controversial. Some sources suggest they had reconciled before his death, but the truth may never be fully known. 15. Bob Crane's dressing room was a pornography hub. Behind the charming, comedic Colonel Hogan, Bob Crane harboured a shocking secret few knew during the production of Hogan's Heroes. His dressing room became a notorious pornography hub among the crew. Crane turned the room into a storage space for sensitive material, Polaroids, negatives, and self-filmed footage of countless encounters with women he met thanks to his celebrity status. These materials weren't completely hidden. Crane often flaunted them to colleagues, crew members, and even visitors, treating it as entertainment and bragging rights. Crane's obsession with recording and displaying his private life created tension and awkwardness on set. Many crew members felt uncomfortable, trying to avoid or ignore the star's behaviour. Crane's son, Robert, later confirmed that the collection began in 1966 and continued through most of Hogan's Heroes production. The infamous dressing room reputation spread quickly, to the point that even in later projects, including Disney films, colleagues still remembered the notorious nickname. What do you think about this? Share your thoughts in the comments. 14. The theme song had secret lyrics. While millions of viewers are familiar with the catchy opening tune of Hogan's Heroes, very few know the theme song actually had lyrics. Composer Jerry Fielding wrote a full, military-style version with heroic lines. Heroes, heroes, fighting men so brave, sons of all the heroes of the wars before. The lyrics celebrated the prisoners' courage and cunning while keeping the light-hearted spirit of the show. Though never aired in any TV episode, the full version was recorded by Richard Dawson, Robert Clary, Ivan Dixon, and Larry Hovis for the special album Hogan's Heroes Sing the Best of World War II, released while the series was still on air. Even more interesting, keeping the theme instrumental on TV was a clever move. Adding lyrics could have made the intro feel too much like a serious war movie or overly patriotic, losing the witty satire fans loved. By keeping it instrumental, the show maintained its unique tone, heroic enough to set the scene, yet light enough to make viewers laugh. Another fascinating detail, Bob Crane, before acting, was a professional drummer. He played the distinctive drum set heard at the beginning of each episode, taken directly from the recording of the war film The Longest Day, 1962, creating an unexpected musical link between Hogan's Heroes and other World War II works. 13. General Burkhalter's rare Mercedes. The sleek black-grey convertible that General Burkhalter often drove into Stalag 13 was more than just a prop. Behind its elegance lies a piece of rare history, a Mercedes-Benz W31, an extremely rare model produced in a total of only 57 units before and during World War II. When new, it was a symbol of power reserved exclusively for Nazi leadership. But after the war, most of the cars disappeared in bombings, were abandoned during chaotic retreats, or were dismantled for metal to rebuild defeated Germany. By the mid-1960s, when Hogan's Heroes began airing, automobile historians believed only 3 W31s still existed worldwide. Yet somehow, the production team managed to bring one of these legendary vehicles to a Hollywood set. Every time Burkhalter appeared with the convertible, audiences didn't just see a pompous German general step out of a car, they were witnessing a piece of living wartime history rolling across their TV screens. This choice was a stroke of unbelievable luck. What do you think about it? Share your thoughts. 12. 4 Nazi characters were actually Jewish refugees. A strange fact about Hogan's Heroes is that 4 of the Nazi faces appearing weekly on TV were actually Jewish actors, people who had fled Hitler in real life. In the end, these survivors donned German uniforms to turn the very enemies who once terrorized their people into comedic figures for millions of American viewers. First, Werner Klemperer, who played the bumbling and timid Colonel Klink, was born into a distinguished family in Cologne, Germany. When the Nazis rose to power in 1933, his family fled to Vienna and then Los Angeles. John Banner, affable Sergeant Schultz with his catchphrase, "I know nothing," also faced exile. Born in Austria, he escaped Europe under Nazi control, later enlisting and fighting in the US Army against the very enemy he would later pretend to serve on screen. Leon Askin, the menacing General Burkhalter, suffered even more as his family was murdered at the Treblinka death camp. Howard Kane, the cruel Gestapo officer Hochstetter, though born in the US, had Jewish heritage and served in the US Navy against the Nazis. Week after week, they turned German officers into incompetent clowns, transforming symbols of fear into comic relief. Werner Klemperer later admitted frankly that portraying Nazis as fools was a clever form of revenge. 11. Bob Crane turned down multiple major opportunities. Bob Crane's path to becoming the legendary Colonel Hogan was full of unexpected twists. He initially declined 3 major television opportunities before taking the role that would change his career. At the time, Crane was already a famous radio star in Los Angeles, the king of the airwaves, with a charming voice, witty delivery, and quick humor that captivated audiences. TV executives saw him as a natural successor for the small screen. The first opportunity Crane passed up was a prime seat on a late-night talk show, the very position once held by Jack Parr before Johnny Carson. Had he accepted, Crane might have become a television icon, not just a sitcom star. He also declined 2 promising sitcom scripts. Please Don't Eat the Daisies, adapted from the best-selling book and 1960 film about a large family and a quirky housekeeper, and My Living Doll, a sci-fi comedy where he co-starred with Julie Newmar as a man living with a beautiful robot. Both succeeded without him, and he might have remained only a radio king who missed TV fame. When the Hogan's Heroes script landed on his desk, Crane skimmed it and chuckled. A serious drama about German POWs? It sounded dull. Only when his agent revealed, "No, it's a sitcom, a giant joke in a prison camp setting," did Crane pause. He decided to gamble on this wild idea, a bet that turned him into a 1960s television icon. Do you love his portrayal of the Colonel? Share your thoughts in the comments. 10. Bob Crane's leather jacket once belonged to Frank Sinatra. The familiar leather jacket worn by Colonel Hogan in Hogan's Heroes had an interesting journey. Before Bob Crane wore it, the jacket appeared on screen in the war blockbuster Von Ryan's Express, 1965, with Frank Sinatra. Made by Hollywood's Western Costume Company, the jacket was more than a prop. It was a witness to two entertainment icons, a legendary jazz singer and one of the most beloved TV faces of the 1960s. Interestingly, the jacket didn't vanish after Hogan's Heroes ended. It reappeared in the biopic Auto Focus, 2002, worn by Greg Kinnear as Bob Crane, as if the jacket's life and the character's fate were intertwined. Decades later, this unique artifact went to auction, fetching $2,500 before being preserved at the Liberty Aviation Museum in Ohio, where nostalgia enthusiasts can see it in person. 9. Richard Dawson couldn't speak an American accent. Before becoming the cunning Corporal Newkirk, Richard Dawson initially auditioned for the central role of Colonel Hogan. Confident as ever, Dawson stepped into casting, but from his very first lines, his distinct English accent betrayed his ambition. Despite attempts to mimic an American style and even blend in hints of comedian Phil Silver's inflection, Dawson couldn't hide his unmistakable English voice. For a quintessentially American character like Hogan, this was a deal-breaker. Producers ultimately removed him from the lead role, giving the opportunity to Bob Crane. But instead of letting the setback end his career, Dawson turned it to his advantage. He took the supporting role of Corporal Peter Newkirk, a sly conman who impersonates voices and deceives German soldiers. In this role, his English accent, once considered a flaw, became a weapon, making Newkirk lively and unforgettable. 8. Winter setting, summer filming. Although Hogan's Heroes is set in the freezing winter of Stalag 13 in Germany, most outdoor scenes were actually filmed during the scorching summer in Southern California. Temperatures often exceeded 89.6 degrees, 32 degrees, making thick uniforms, scarves, and feigned shivering a major challenge for the cast. To simulate snow and frost on rooftops and windows, producers initially used salt as fake snow. By the fourth season, they switched to white paint to save time and money while creating longer-lasting snow effects. This artificial winter setting wasn't just an aesthetic choice, it was also a strategy to minimize filming risks. Using salt and paint avoided real weather issues like rain or melting snow, allowing episodes to air in any order without inconsistencies in the setting. 7. The famous slogan came from a joke. One of Hogan's Heroes' most famous promotional moves originated from an unexpected joke. Comedian Stan Freberg, in a 1965 interview with Bob Crane, quipped, "If you like World War II, you'll love Hogan's Heroes." Crane immediately responded, "No, don't say that." But the witty line quickly caught the attention of the publicity team. Despite its sarcastic origins, CBS decided to turn the joke into the show's official slogan. The subtle irony made it both intriguing and appealing to audiences, while also sparking some controversy among viewers who didn't grasp the show's humour. Bob Crane expressed concern that the slogan might be misinterpreted regarding the show's intent. But in the end, the phrase became iconic. 6. Kinchloe left the show to become a director. In the 5th season of Hogan's Heroes, James Kinchloe, played by Ivan Dixon, left the show to pursue a directing career. Dixon, who had been with the series since 1965, wanted to expand his creative scope and began directing several hit television series such as The Waltons, The Rockford Files and Magnum P.I., while also helming the controversial film The Spook Who Sat by the Door, 1973. The gap was filled by Sergeant Richard Baker, played by Kenneth Washington. Baker quickly secured a strategic role in Hogan's team, serving as the radio engineer similar to Kinchloe, but bringing his own flair, combining intelligence, skill and signature humour. Baker's introduction was never explained in the storyline, but the production team cleverly filled the void without disrupting the series' rhythm or appeal. 5. The show was originally set in an American prison. Hogan's Heroes almost never became a sitcom about a German POW camp. Originally, creator Albert Ruddy even considered setting it in an American prison. The idea was quickly rejected because networks feared audiences would struggle to laugh at a comedy centered on a domestic penitentiary. Before Ruddy could give up, he learned that NBC was planning its own sitcom set in an Italian POW camp called Campo 44. This was the turning point. Ruddy realised that if he waited, his project would die before it even began. Instead, he made a bold move. He relocated the story to a German POW camp where Allied soldiers were imprisoned. This decision leapfrogged the competition and made Hogan's Heroes unique, unlike any other project. The result? The show not only survived but became a 6-season television phenomenon. Ironically, NBC's Campo 44 never got off the ground, while Ruddy secured his place in history thanks to the daring of one fateful choice, a small pivot that launched a legend. 4. General Burkhalter was promoted after the first episode was filmed. In the pilot episode of Hogan's Heroes, viewers were introduced to Colonel Burkhalter, played by Leon Askin. At first glance, this seemed fine, but a problem quickly arose. Burkhalter was also a colonel, equal in rank to Klink. How could he act as a superior, giving orders, scolding and pressuring the bumbling Stalag 13 commander? This inconsistency revealed a major flaw in the character hierarchy, threatening both the show's logic and its comedic foundation. Immediately, Burkhalter was promoted to general. With a higher rank, he became Klink's true nightmare, empowered to reprimand, demote, or even send Klink to the front lines at any time. Interestingly, in the episode following the pilot, Leon Askin didn't appear. Burkhalter was absent, but when he returned in subsequent episodes, he officially wore the rank of general, authoritative, pompous, and just as ridiculous. 3. Outstanding success. When Hogan's Heroes first aired in 1965, a sitcom set in a German POW camp captured the hearts of millions. Its success is reflected in numbers: 168 episodes from 1965 to 1971 and 12 Emmy nominations. It wasn't just a simple comedy, it left a deep mark on American pop culture, where laughter became a powerful weapon against the dark memories of World War II. Among its accolades, the most resounding victory went to Werner Klemperer, who played the bumbling yet memorable Colonel Klink. He won the Emmy for Outstanding Supporting Actor twice, in 1968 and 1969. Klemperer, a Jewish refugee who fled Nazi Germany, turned the fascist officer into a ridiculous figure, a bitter form of retribution against the horrors he had witnessed in real life. Beyond the Emmys, Hogan's Heroes was recognised by the NAACP Image Awards in 1967 for helping change the portrayal of black people on television. From a controversial concept, the show overcame skepticism to become a classic, proving that laughter can entertain, heal, and challenge the dark legacies of history. 2. The red hat turned green. One of the most amusing errors in Hogan's Heroes involved LeBeau's hat, which became a fan topic of discussion. In a Season 2 episode, observant viewers noticed that his familiar red hat suddenly turned green in the blink of an eye. Quick viewers might have missed it, but once noticed, it became a can't-miss detail every time the episode was rewatched. What makes this small error even more intriguing is that the red hat was a key identifier for LeBeau. So when the colour changed, even briefly, it instantly created a sense of disruption among the familiar visuals. Some fans speculated that LeBeau was originally given a green hat in the first take, then later corrected to the signature red, and the scene accidentally showed both versions. 1. Werner Klemperer was a talented violinist. Werner Klemperer, who played the clumsy Colonel Klink on screen, came from a distinguished musical background and possessed remarkable musical talent. He was the son of Otto Klemperer, a renowned 20th century conductor, and Johanna Geisler, a famous opera soprano. Growing up in a family where music was life itself, Werner studied piano and violin and received formal classical training. Many sources even describe him as a concert-level violinist and pianist capable of serious stage performance. The irony is that in Hogan's Heroes, his character, Colonel Klink, frequently played the violin terribly. The off-key, grating notes were used for comedic effect, enhancing the audience's amusement at Klink's ineptitude. In reality, Werner admitted that, overshadowed by his famous father, Otto Klemperer, he never wanted a professional music career. He jokingly said he made sounds even dogs wouldn't want to hear, humorously downplaying himself to escape family pressure. Were you surprised by this interesting fact? Share your thoughts about this character in the comments. Hogan's Heroes is more than a humorous sitcom set in a POW camp. It hides countless fascinating behind-the-scenes truths. From Jewish actors who fled Nazi Germany, rare wartime Mercedes cars, World II music recorded by the cast, to shocking secrets like Bob Crane's dressing room and Larry Hovis's persistent wedding ring, each detail highlights creativity, courage, and dramatic real-life stories behind the characters. Which fact about Hogan's Heroes fascinates you most? The miraculous survival of Robert Clary, the secret of Burkhalter's Mercedes, or Werner Klemperer's off-screen humour? Share your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to subscribe to catch more thrilling, behind-the-scenes stories of classic films. Thank you for joining us.